Hi and welcome to today's video. If you're wondering what's going on, Neil doesn't normally post 2 videos in 1 week. What's happening right now with this video? You know, I just felt that I should make a video today for all of you, just to give you some guidance, just to give you some advice around what's happening, because I'm finding myself every day getting more and more frustrated with what I'm seeing in the mainstream media, what I'm seeing coming out of different governments around the world and what they're saying. And it's just, it all doesn't add up, right? Around this whole crisis that we're going through. It's not adding up. We've got the highest unemployment rate we've ever had. Even if we go back to the Great Depression, right, and we look at all the statistics there, we've got GDP has dropped off a cliff. We had almost minus 32% in GDP in the USA. We have similar drops in GDP in other places. We have got all of these furlough programs, right? So we're paying people's wages. We are giving money, interest-free loans to all of these companies. We are doing bailouts to all the big companies, right? All of this stuff is going on right now. We've got mortgage forbearance and all of this. And everyone's acting as if everything's okay, right? Everything's normal. Everything's just going to keep going along, and we're just making this money out of thin air, and it's fine because don't worry about where the money's coming from. We're just going to create it out of thin air, and we're just going to give it to the people. This, ladies and gentlemen, is nonsense. That isn't how monetary theory works, right? And this is the sort of thing that's frustrating me right now. All of this money, right, that is being created or printed, whatever you want to say, and then being given to whoever, the companies, is all going into inflating asset prices. These historically low interest rates are going into inflating the stock market, inflating the housing market. And the people who are going to suffer aren't the people making all these decisions, the elitists, right, the top 1% with all the money. They're not going to suffer. Look at the last crisis. Like the 2008 crisis, look at the 2000.com crisis, look at, crisis going back. It's not those people that suffer. It is the middle class. It's the people, if we can even say there's a middle class anymore, right? It's the people in the middle that are going to suffer. You and I, it's everyone else that loses everything. And I'm just really frustrated by everything I'm seeing, because a lot of the media channels as well are saying get into the stock market now. It's never been a better time. All the prices are booming. Whereas someone like myself, so a professional investor, you look at other professional investors, Warren Buffett, Dalio, etc. We're out, we're selling. I'm out of the stock market. I'm out of the real estate market. I've sold my rental houses that I have as well, right? We're out. You look at Warren Buffett, he's done something that he said he would never do in a million years. And that was, he got involved in gold. He said he'd never do it, right? And okay, he's bought Barrick Gold, which is a gold mining stock. So it's slightly different to physical gold, but it's still within the same realm and same principle. Also, why does the Federal Reserve now own over 1/3 of all mortgages? So that means if you're in the United States watching this, probably 1 in 3 of you, your mortgage is now owned by the Federal Reserve. How, try and wrap your head around that a second. The Federal Reserve, right, own 1/3 of mortgages. They're buying all the mortgage-backed securities. Not just that, they're buying other securities, right? Just try and get your head around what's happening here. This is not right, everything that's going on. And, I know I'm putting my neck on the line by speaking out against a lot of the stuff I'm seeing. But I just feel it's the right thing to do. I just saw a video as well this morning from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. And I'm a critic of them anyway. The stuff they're talking about, again, doesn't add up. They're talking about how they're going to put all of this money, trillions of dollars, to help fund all these nations that are struggling. And they're going to help with climate change. They don't care about climate change, right? All these big commercial banks and funds, they don't care about climate change. You've got to understand this. Stop listening to all of this and believing it. Start thinking independently. If they cared about climate change, they would do something about climate change. They are making loans, right, they're acting as if they are the white knights riding in to save all these countries and whatever. They're not. They are, let's say you had someone who was in really, really deep debt. Okay, so this is a friend of yours, a family member. They're in really bad deep debt. Would you take them to some sort of a financial advisor or some sort of put them on a debt course, try and help them to get out of the debt, bring their spending down, teach them a little bit about money and do all that? Would you do that? Or would you take them to a loan shark and say, here, get more debt, right? What would you do? And I think you can see the comparison, what I'm trying to make here. Why will all these big funds and the IMF and everyone else be giving more money to these nations? It's just going to make this whole situation even worse. Debt, government debt, country debt, personal debt is already at record highs. We're now over 100% of GDP. That's gross domestic product. So that means like the government, let's say their debt's now over 100% of GDP. The last time it was, extreme levels was World War II, where, don't quote me, but I think it was like 240% that we got to before we had to bring it back down. Right? We're in these crisis modes right now, and we're creating money out of thin air because we no longer back it to gold. And this is the problem. If you have a back to the money supply, you can't then manipulate it. You don't have these huge wealth gaps that we're seeing right now. We're seeing homelessness on a rate that is unprecedented, and yet we're seeing the top 1% becoming more and more and more rich. Like, you probably saw it on another video I made. Who needs to spend $1 million on a gold toilet seat? Like, when there's people sleeping rough and got no food. This is insane that we're in this situation right now. And everyone's just sat at home watching Netflix and not doing anything about it. No one is writing to their politicians or, protesting against some of the things that are going on. We're now going into more lockdowns in different countries. In the UK, there's just been lockdowns announced this week, regional lockdowns. Let me just, I made a couple of notes here, right? So when you're having all these lockdowns, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have all of these restaurants. And by the way, you saw in my other videos, I walked the streets, I went around shopping malls, shopping centres, I went to the retail districts. These businesses are collapsing. Some of them are never going to reopen again. And they've taken on this debt that the government and the mainstream media tried to get, like, advertised to them. Who advertises to take out loans? It's banks usually, right? And now we've had all these adverts for people to go and get all this debt. They've racked up all this debt, and now they're collapsing under the weight of the debt. So we've got retail. And of course, this is all the staff that work in retail. And remember, over 60% of all employees work in SMEs. That's small to medium-sized businesses. It isn't these big, huge multinational corporations like they make out that they're these big heroes and employing all these people. No, over 60% is employed by people like you and I. Jobs are like yours and mine, right? They're in small to medium-sized businesses. So all the staff are going to go. And what the media isn't saying as well, they're just talking about, these employment, job losses. What about the suppliers, right? They're not thinking deep enough. What about the suppliers? What about the delivery drivers? What about the shipping routes to get those supplies into the country or where they're manufactured? You've got to take all of this into account. This isn't just local or regional or national. This is global now. This is what we're going into. It is a global crisis. Restaurants, chefs, waiters, waitresses, again, suppliers. It goes right back to, the commercial suppliers of these food, the manufacturers, the factories. They employ people as well that make and package these foods, right back to the grower, the farmers. We've got to take all of this into account. Airlines, pilots, cabin crew, right? Ground crew, all the people that are involved, the admin staff with the airlines, these are collapsing. Cruise lines, well, they're pretty much over right now. But again, tens of thousands of staff. Vacations, the travel, the tourism sector, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of jobs are just going to be wiped out. Events, conferencing is a huge part of GDP. Conferencing, events, of course, this is staff, it is printers, okay? Carpenters, people who build some of the stands and things like that. You have the professional speaking or consulting industry, high paid professionals here. Transportation, hotels. Okay, all of this, and again, the food, the restaurants in these centers, these conferencing centers, Uber drivers, taxi drivers. This isn't just a small thing. And then even on the conferencing side, what about clothing? Well, who is wearing suits these days? Who's going out and buying a suit? Who's buying new shoes to go to work? People are like sat at home in their pajamas working, with their shirt on top and pajama bottoms on the bottom. Not me, fortunately, but this is what is happening right now. Formal wear, okay? No one's going out for formal occasions. Leisure wear, no one's buying clothing to go out, for leisure and things like that. Vacations, no one's buying, swimwear and clothing to go on vacations. The vacation sector's dead. Weddings, this industry is just imploding upon itself. And again, another big industry. It's not just the wedding itself, but it's all the people, it's the transport, it's the hotel rooms. And that's something else. Hotels, they are collapsing at an unprecedented rate. And it's going to continue like this. You're going to see the loss of a lot of hotels, big chains, as well as the small local mom and pop type hotels, bed and breakfast, serviced accommodations. They're all going to start to go. They're all going to start to disappear. Offices, I've talked about this a lot. Commercial real estate space, offices imploding. They're going to disappear. Movie theatres, you've already seen the announcements from the movie theatres. They're going bankrupt. Restaurants that service those movie theatres, they're going bankrupt. Amusement parks, check out my video from a couple of weeks ago where I went to an amusement park. It was empty. There was no one there. And then you come on to important things like medical and dental. Even this sector, you would think being in a pandemic, this sector would be booming. Even this sector's not booming. People are staying home. People are not going out, getting into accidents, things like that. And again, I'm not talking about countries where they have free healthcare, although it's not free. Sorry, let me just clarify this. A lot of people say, like, the UK has free healthcare. No, it's not free. Right? We pay something called national insurance from our salaries and our wages. That's what pays for it. And by the way, it's more than something like FICA or anything else in the United States. Our national insurance, our healthcare can cost more than yours at times. It depends, of course, on your bands. But right, this is something as well. These industries, the medical industry, the dental industry especially, the efficiency has gone out of dentistry. You can't just line up patient after patient. I tried to get an appointment with my dentist, 8 weeks. 8 weeks, and then I have to spend all this money on their PPE, and then they have to disinfect the surgery for 2 hours after. It's insane, all the inefficiencies that are coming into the economy right now. The economy is not going to be recovering. Like I said, I analysed the V-shaped recovery. I found it to be a myth. It is not true in a lot of countries that have said there's this V-shaped recovery. All that's happening is that we're building up this big momentum into the stock market. It's going to crash. Big momentum into the real estate market, the housing market. It is going to crash. We are going to see next year some scary things happening to the world. So here's what I just want to say to you. Don't keep living the way you've been living the last 5 years, the last 10 years. Or, if you've got a lot of credit or debt, you have credit cards, get those credit cards paid down, especially if they're high APR. If you've got loans, get those loans paid down, get them paid off. If you need to scrimp and save, you need to not go out, eating out twice a week, or if you need to cut down on some subscriptions, if you need to do any of these sort of things to tighten your belts for a little bit, just do it. It is going to only benefit you next year. And many of you know I spent 10 years in the army. I retired as a sergeant. And a lot of the principles I talk about are things that I was taught in the army. One thing we always do is we're always taught to prepare for the absolute worst. Prepare for the worst, but always hope for the best. And that's the way I live my life now, and that's what I advise you guys to do as well. You've really got to just buckle down now and prepare for the worst that might come next year, but at the same time hope for the best. You've got to keep praying into all of this, and I'll continue to do the same. I'll pray for you guys as well. But I don't know. This is going to be a bad situation next year. I can just feel it in my bones. I don't believe what's being said on the media. I don't believe what we're being told. I think you really need to prepare for what's about to come. I do think it's going to be bad. And you know what? I really, really hope I'm wrong. I hope I am 100% wrong on all of this. But if you've seen the predictions I've been making over the last year, I haven't got one wrong yet. And I really do hope that this one is one that I'm going to get wrong. Sorry it's not been a positive video today, but I really hope it sort of put some realism into the situation. And I hope if this message helps you in any way, then that's enough for me. So that's all for today. Take care. God bless.